What I'm going to do today, sometime when you're getting older, you have this privilege to share with people the lesson learned. And I think there is, I've been in the business of trying to inject machine learning AI, now generative AI, into financial processes. I was leading liquidity trade research in Bloomberg. I was leading team called Investment AI in BlackRock. And I saw the opportunity to help a potential AI solution that was extremely horizontal, try to build a way specific to the vertical of finance. That's basically what I'm doing now with my team. I'm going to speak today about exactly the lesson learned. I'm going to speak about a possible vision. We are not so arrogant to say that is our only vision, but it's what I try to put together after the lesson learned. The one thing we are extremely paranoid of, that is the governance. I do believe that the vast majority of the use cases that didn't go in full production with full scalability and impact in the last 2 or 3 years was mainly because at the end of the story, people can't really trust for mission critical application the outcome of AI. Not in all the cases, but in some of the cases. We are as well, nothing new, but I think it's a moment in history where my team knows that I have a childhood dream. One is about entropy models coming from physics. The other one is about to see the world as a graph. And being paranoid about these things. So finally now, because of the ecosystem that we are reaching and the LLM useful to train knowledge graph is something that is finally happening. And then I show to you some things from the lab. We have several papers published that went out recently are coming up, and a couple of use cases. So the lesson learned. The lesson learned is about the POC fatigue. I think everybody in this room, coming from vendors, coming from large institutions, they realized in the last 3 years the fatigue of syncing and navigating into POCs. 10% of the pilots reached production, less than 10%. This is from the MIT paper, and there are many other confirmations of that. Talent searchers, over-reliance of opaque vendor models. I believe that you need to be in control of the outcome AI, so the hyperscaler model sometimes can be used, in other cases not necessarily a good fit. Computer costs blow up and shadow AI from backend governance. The shift from hype to maturity, I think I start to see everywhere. That's a good news for the ecosystem. There is to start to treat data and governance as first-class citizen together with LLM. Or actually, in our case, even more than LLM. Adopt composite architecture. Now we saw, I was very polemic with the explosion of RAG. We learned the hard way that wasn't the only trustable possible way. Now we saw the advent of graph RAG, and there are evolution in this sector. Design of for regulator and risk manager. At the end of the story, finance is a highly regulated industry. So we can't take trading decision, even if are assuming that we blindly trust the model, the agent, leveraging some large-scale LLM that are correct. We are obliged in finance to be in control of the model and be able to understand and explain the insights generated by the model. And that's why, I was dreaming something different in terms of mathematics coming from physics, but if you think today, 90%, maybe too much, 80% of the financial decisions all over the world are based on models that are mainly based on linear regression. And that's the reason why. Auditability, control, and stable workflows. Now, finally, we have the option to change that, but with some sense of responsibility and control. I don't remember who did the quote, but I like this a lot. I will need to find the author, but the future of financial AI will belong to firms that can prove and not just predict. And so we are trying to build a transparent, auditable, sovereign AI ecosystem where innovation meets accountability. For the record, I don't want to make this to make a product business presentation. I want to share our vision and potentially collect feedback. I promise to be shorter than half hour because there is lunch, so I will finish little bit, a few minutes late, so I have time for Q&A, or if people are very hungry, can leave the room. I stay here for side conversation. But the idea here is to see a vision. This is not necessarily our platform, but is the compute part, the models. For us, model is not only LLM. Machine learning AI is not dead. It's not all about generative AI. I keep on dreaming to use deep learning to forecast time series. It's something that we are doing a lot of research on that. We start now. A platform where we develop your agent and the agent layer. We are particularly jealous, I don't know if there is a light here, I don't know, but on the vertical part, that is the governance part. We are saying that we are trying to build next to the AI machine, an MRI machine that scans every step of the process. For data retrieval, reasoning, hallucination, prompt injection, call of API with traditional quant model, in order to provide some level of transparency and trust to the user. The mission is native build AI for financial services. In particular is the one on the right. Enterprise knowledge integration. When we are ready, we are mature, the vast majority of the financial corporation, from medium to large, 70% of the know-how and the data are internal data. And an hyperscaler model can be trained and learn on those data. So sooner or later, I'm losing the screen. Sooner or later, you can trust AI, but you cannot trust screen as well. Okay. And then knowledge graph-driven, state-of-the-art graph technology, and contextualize, connect, and safeguard AI behavior, and govern auditable AI. To me, the last test box on the right were the missing guys in the conversation in the last 4 years about AI and Gen AI. I can be wrong, I can be right, push back on my view, but that's what I strongly believe. Now, since every quant, every business manager, every startup, they want to connect data to the user. In the middle, some eventually model insights, etc. in every sector. LLM create the first type that can be the application layer that connect data and user. We learned the hard way that it's not true. It's not only about LLM. And this slide is a provocative slide on purpose, that LLM is only one part of the puzzle, and the size of the LLM test box is more on purpose, because traditional machine learning AI model, we cannot ask an LLM to calculate relative value with some, whatever model you're going to use blindly and trust the mathematical reasoning. Knowledge graph is a key component, and agent tools and existing API. My team in BlackRock was building traditional machine learning AI model exposed via API. I don't believe that an LLM can replace those models. LLM can call those models. And this will basically recap the vision. So we see AI in finance in 4 main pillars. One is knowledge search on unstructured data. Finally, we had the opportunity to leverage and scale unstructured data. We started 10 years ago with NLP techniques, sentiments, and stuff like this, very localized, not scalable. In some kinds, very, very, very profitable solution, but they were scratching the surface. Now, finally, we can talk to unstructured data the way we want. Doesn't mean that we can talk to unstructured data in a safe way. Second part is knowledge discovery on structured data. Collecting data from a trader or portfolio manager, or collecting data from a database to a quant to build features, usually we're using very limited data set, because it was expensive to know all the data, understanding the data, navigating a complex database scheme across different systems, and be smart enough to recognize which are the features, the underlying data to build features that we should use even for traditional machine learning model. AI, generative AI in particular, make this process very cheap. 1 and 2 are becoming very cheap. Doesn't mean safe, I'm going to go there, but cheap. A life story, I went to one of my former managers, don't say the company, to build a gigantic knowledge graph mount of analytics many years ago. I say I need $700 million budget of compute, 20 people in the room as a shadow team. We work, see you in a year. They laugh in my face. In Domyn, we were able to do some of this job I was dreaming with a couple of people in a couple of months. That's a very good measurement how this new technology make data retrieval, structure and unstructure, and the combination of them very cheap. The one is everybody's talking about, so the agent ecosystem, where we can have foundational agent, more workflow agent, up to a trading agent, portfolio management agent, and so on. So a gigantic blob with all the financial agent and the tools that the agent will use. And the fourth is governance, transparency, interpretability. As you can see, governance for us has the same level of importance of all the other pillars. We raise the dignity. And if you notice in this slide, I never mentioned LLM. So LLM is the tool, very powerful, very, very beautiful, with pros and cons, that it is making this 4 pillar possible and technically cheap, or cheaper than before. The way we see the platform is you cannot ignore company internal legacy knowledge. Every company I've been working with, and I'm dealing now as potential clients, they have 5, 10, 20, 30 years of legacy and thousands of APIs. You cannot have an LLM replacing those things. So in order, a way to onboard the company legacy is a key. In internal structure and structured data, we want, basically the idea is to have a platform that is able to onboard all this data, the internal know-how, and then work with tech stack that I showed before. The platform, the model, the surveillance on the right, in the agent that we have our own orchestrator, the catalog of agents that we keep on building over time, and the company custom agent. The idea is that I'm not trying to say we can do everything for you. We have a company, a platform where we can provide the default agent, foundational agent, the best-in-class talk to structure and structured data, and then a quant, Stefano Pasquali, from using this platform, can develop his own agent. Otherwise, we get dependencies for our technology and our people that doesn't make any sense. On purpose here, I have 2 access to the platform: the chatbot, asking question, and the output. I put the other one because I don't believe, I'm sorry, in the world where my former employees will manage $12.5 trillion, I don't know the last number, asking questions to a chatbot, okay? So I see the chatbot as a tool for individual productivity with a company like us, hyperscaler, or to explore a reasoning. I like what the machine does. Okay, now I'm okay, and now you push this information, this type of reasoning to me every morning, programmatically, to my front office. I don't think we're going to end up around the world asking questions to a chatbot. But the key of this slide is part of the same team, governance, knowledge graph, and so on, is the dotted line that closes the platform. Full internalized and segregated environment. I don't believe personally that we can start to push and have a conversation of centralized model, build in a shared environment, even in walled garden, that we have no control, again, for mission-critical application. And what I keep on saying to our potential client or existing client, I say honestly, not to be arrogant, I see a world where a large corporation in finance run 70–80% of the use cases with hyperscaler. So if OpenAI is listening, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be used. But for 20–30% of the mission-critical use cases, where really make decisions that move real money with internal know-how, compliance, regulatory obligation, done with internalized platform. Can be ours, can be another one, but that's the model we believe. So full internalized and segregated environment. Literally here you can cut the internet cable, the thing will continue to work. Okay, these are, for the record, I'm able to share this information, but some of the paper we are publishing, a lot of governance, benchmarking, knowledge graph. I will touch very quickly in the last few minutes these things. The governance part for us is transparency, scoring, having metrics to provide trust to the user and scalability. So we want to score every step of the process. I have an example here about a trading prompt. Based on relative value, liquidity, bond analytics, financial model forecast, should we increase exposure to NVIDIA 5 years corporate bond? It's not about giving the prompt, it's about having information or knowing that we don't have information about the API calls, the knowledge graph, our unstructured data. There is some formatting problem here. Unstructured data retrieval, structured data retrieval. In this case, we retrieve information from SC file in calls, financial news. In this case, the red dot was, we don't have information. We have information of performance and no on API we call liquidity stress model. We carry over all this aggregated scoring, and the final answer is yes, increased exposure to NVIDIA corporate bonds supported by relative value, 12 bips cheaper than peers, solid daily liquidity, positive sentiment specified in earnings scores, overall trust score of 0.6. Now the user have a sense how much you can trust the output. You can click and understanding where is the problem and say, okay, I'll still trust this outcome or not. And then here you can, in a system like this, you can really implement policy. Like everything that is scored greater than 0.95, I'm okay to do automated execution in my portfolios and so on. This is an example of a more complex dashboard that from the prompt score everything, underlying data, etc., the reasoning. And in some cases, we can do the job because we are not in charge of doing the data quality for every client data. But we expect the client to be able to provide some logs about the quality of the data. We don't know the quality. We can warn the user, hey, I retrieved this data, but for your information, I was talking about a database. They have no clue if the data are certified high quality. This one, this is a more important slide. So this one is, you don't have to be right all the time, but you need to be able to warn the user to understand where potentially things can go wrong. And here is what I call sometimes many conferences, the myth of the human in the middle. We cover our credibility, say, oh, don't worry, we always the human in the middle. Okay, good luck. Now you have an agent that is crunching 72 tables from a database, extracting this factor, talking with several PDF and Bloomberg or other provider news, crunching this data, throwing them to a 1 trillion parameter LLM in some shared environment done by somebody else, coming back with a recommendation. The only thing the human can do, look at the screen and go to take a coffee. He has no way to be in control of what is happening. So segregation, transparency, and some of these things are the one that I think is the right outcome that we expect. Here are the important point where I think we are and will be very good. Clearly, we are not. We are a startup, a little bit more than a startup, now 100 and something people worldwide. But it is a very important component. Be in control of the entire life cycle of AI. So from the models, can be LLM or other type of models, we are very big with my team in red teaming, jailbreaking. We spend the entire summer mainly to take some of the financial application, extracting information inside from text data, structured data, and trying to jailbreak and making the LLM to make mistakes. In order that if you know that, then you can take countermeasure for that. Or you cannot, but you can warn the user, hey, be careful. This outcome is under the risk of this type of hallucination or mistakes. The third pillar is the production stage, when people, they do kind of more situational lens. Now the model works well, we are okay, but in specific trading case, the user say is working well or not. And then there is a surveillance. A model comes in a surveillance with some misbehavior. I have no idea where to call in hyperscaler. I don't know a guy that built the transformer model for one of the LLM, how to provide the feedback. A company that can provide, they own LLM as well. We can send back to our people the feedback on the LLM. And meanwhile, we can create countermeasure to intercept this potential anomaly. Not necessarily to solve the problem, but to warn the user that this reasoning is affected by this problem. If you think with the large, super large model, pre-trained from hyperscaler, that I don't question because there is an insane value proposition from this type of business design, it's like to draw a line in the middle of this slide. And I do believe that for mission-critical application in finance, you cannot have this hard line in the middle, okay? This is a pity that the PowerPoint in different machine is weird, but stay tuned. The good news is that this slide is something that we start to work now, so I don't have to claim that something is happening. But what we are doing here as well is what we call Domyn Guard. That is a small large model trained specifically for governance tasks. Okay, so more to come, but we believe that we can retrain one of our small model, and we submit this. We are collaborating with some of the hyperscaler to collaborate on this model. That is a model specifically dedicated to do the model surveillance job. Okay, and we believe that the typical approach of LLM as a judge, plus this one, plus additional metrics, will create a very powerful ecosystem for surveillance. Just an example of what we are doing. Basically, we are able to score every step of the process. This is just an example slide, but that's exactly the direction we want to go. This is an example of extracting information from SEC filing with scoring on injection, PII, before the inference, and then all the scoring after the inference. If we call data, we're going to be able to score or to warn that there is no information about the data extraction and so on, and basically build together this trading example that I showed you before. In interest of time, that is almost over, I quickly run through the knowledge graph. I see knowledge graph as two components. One is, it became very cheap with LLM to train knowledge graph. Beautiful. Safety, quality is not there. We implement our own pipeline that we publish some of this in the paper that is public. And in order to prove the validity of our knowledge graph solution, we as well train 10 years of SEC filing on the SP 500 company, 10 years of history, and we make this available open source on Hugging Face. Okay? And now, I build knowledge graph, everybody can do. I clean and boost the quality of knowledge graph. That one I think everybody can do. I think we have our own advanced methodology and feedback pipeline. And then when I have knowledge graph, I can do two things. Is a way to extract features for financial analytics 2.0, where we're going to do to work on. And meanwhile, I can use the knowledge graph to govern and control the behavior of the LLM. So it's a double effect. I train knowledge graph in the backyard, and I use the knowledge graph to contain the stability of the reasoning for the LLM. Knowledge graph can be comprehensive data integration. We are doing a lot of job on this. Virtualizing data across structured and structured data for our clients, enhanced portfolio diversification, dynamic risk assessment, scalable analysis, and performance tracking. The more we can do a lot of examples of our knowledge graph in a stable, safe, certified way. Can be an amazing solution. We are working on 3 types of knowledge graph. Knowledge graph on structured data, as I say, structured data and temporal knowledge graph. So we're able to learn over time the relationship and see how the relationship evolves over time. And this part of the open source graph that we publish. This is the FinReflectKG, the paper we publish, and the Hugging Face version. The key of this paper that is, it integrates LLM-based extraction with agentic reflection loop and refine and align knowledge graph into precise, interpretable, and temporally consistent graph. And now we're using this in our ecosystem. Quickly from the lab, and almost done. The next stage we want to work on is next generation analytics. So entire finance, on top of using very simple mathematics, in average, about a few cases, is working under the assumption that correlation is causation. So to think are correlated means that we're going to move like this in the future. There is a lot of causal algorithms that were introduced to learn causal relationship. The problem with those algorithms that it's very difficult to understand why they learn some causation and trace this back to the original reason. We believe that our KG reflect LLM or the reasoning. We are able to merge the two dots, and that's something that we are developing and working on. I was supporting mainly a lot of people in my career in terms of business, mainly traders and portfolio manager. So that one is basically the multi-agencies and improve trader productivity. That's where we want to go. Creating all the components where the trading can have governance, retrieving data, structured and unstructured, talking with APIs, and provide a trade memo with full trustability and interpretability. That one is something that I cannot demo to you if you come to my office, but the direction where we're going to go.